pretty girl who naked is worth a million statues. As a case in point about how the nude Aphrodite that Aristotle's famed contemporary Prax- Praxiteles carved for the island of Cnidus, King Nicomedes of Bithynia offered to pay Cnidus entire taxes in exchange for that one statue. The impoverished but beauty-loving islanders turned him away. Pliny called the nude the best of all images that ever were made. Holland's translation of Pliny goes on to say, so exquisite and singular it was that many a man hath embarked, taken sea, and sailed to Cnidus for no other purpose but only to see and behold it. Are pretty girls so far to seek? No, but the ideal of tender beauty is indeed. Whew. Are pretty girls so far to seek? No, but the ideal of tender beauty is indeed. So succeeded in creating such an ideal. In a sense, he gave an actual invisible form to the love goddess. An ancient Greek epigram put the matter this way. Aphrodite gazed down upon Cnidus and said, where on earth did Praxiteles mean? The Greeks lavished as much genius on fresco painting as they did on sculpture. The plaster walls will fall at last, and only a few traces of their murals remain. The most revered Greek painter of the classical age was Polygnotus, who we know by report alone. Considering his own work priceless, Polygnotus used to give it away. By way of recompense, both Athens and Delphi awarded him citizenship at all expenses. For the marketplace of Athens, he painted an epic morning after the sack of Troy. And for Delphi, he pictured Odysseus' visit to Hades. Scenes crowded yet calm, immense and terrible, flowed from his brush. The best painters to come after Polygnotus were a pair of rivals, Zeuxis and Parrhasius. These two seem to have pushed the art right over to the side of naturalism. In those days, regular competitions for painting were held at various Greek cities. It is said that during one such contest, birds flocked to peck at a bowl of grapes painted by Zeuxis, Zeuxis. The judges thereupon attempted to unveil Parrhasius' entry, which proved to have the veil painted on. It seems he used to paint in rich attire, as Leonardo DiCaprio, Van Dyck, and Salvador Dali were to do in later times. His shoes had golden buckles, and he wore a gold wreath on his head. Fancy dresser. Right, and large letters on the back. Both men were superbly arrogant, especially so. Who knows how actually deserved the epitaph he wrote about himself. The utmost limits of painter's skill I've set. The utmost limits of the painter's skill I have set. Fault finders always will find fault, yet by this hand I still repeat, no mortal can surpass my skill. Oh, I'm writing this down. See, this is what happens to me. I read and I find one thing that resembles me and I'm just like making notes about it. Utmost limit of the painter's skill. finders. I still repeat. No mortal can pass my skill. Jesus, beautiful. Nice. The utmost limit of the painter's skill I've set, fault finders always will find fault, yet by this hand I still repeat, no mortal can pass my skill. Yeah! Wow. Macedonian and afterward Roman domination both made for warring extremes in the life of Greece. Wealth and poverty, graciousness and cruelty, faithlessness and fanaticism, ugliness and beauty. Immense qualities of sculpture came into being in these contradictory times. As the chronicles of Rome's decline, Edward Gibbon remarked, the inanimated population wow. The very skies were hardening and brightening from blue to gold leaf. Newts fled as the saints came marching in, with jagged jesters, martyrs and striped togas addressed the tugging wind. Here and there stood kings and queens as stiff as playing cards, and their robes like scaffolds draped with weighted flags. Eyes were huge and staring, fingers skinny and pointing. Scarlet serpents twined through purple texts. The great mother wept and covered her breast with a cloak of stars. Pagan Hermes emerged as rainbow-winged Michael the archangel. Oh. Even radiant Apollo passed behind a purple cloud to reappear as Christ the shepherd. Oh. You know, this language does something to me. The very skies were hardening and brightening from blue to gold leaf. Newts fled as the saints came marching in, with jagged gestures, martyrs and striped togas addressed the tugging wind. Here and there stood kings and queens as stiff as playing cards, their robes like scaffold draped with weighted flags.